Welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys, sponsored by Checker, background screens for your faith or volunteer organization. The Church Safety Guys is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to inspire, influence, and impact church safety and security teams. We are protectors, guardians, ambassadors, and shepherds. We are about all things church safety and security, which starts with a ministry mindset and a servant's heart. Join us for the next hour as the Church Safety Guys unpack safety, security, leadership, and ministry operations with your hosts, James McGarvey and Mike Scully. This broadcast is also available on social media, YouTube, your favorite podcast platforms, and on the all-new Church Security app.
Well, hello and welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys. I am James, and I am joined by my co-host, Mike Scully.
What's up, sir?
How are you doing?
Sorry, doctor.
yeah, that still cracks me up.
I know, it's funny.
But you always throw that in there when I'm least expecting it too, and then I'm like, I don't have a quick, witty comeback for that.
Yep.
But we are in season 7, so if you just joined us, maybe this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. And if you're listening to this on YouTube or one of the other streaming platforms, feel free to click like and subscribe, and that way you'll get updates from us as we do a live show every weekend or most weekends, and talk about different topics pertaining to church safety and security, and have different guests on that we think might be a blessing to you and also help you with your ministry. And so if there's ever someone that, or a person or topic that you want us to talk about or talk to, feel free to reach out. And you can do that through our website at churchsafetyguys.com or through our app, which is the Church Security app. And you can download that from the Google or Apple store as well. And that's an easy way to get a hold of us and send us a message. And we will do the utmost best to facilitate the answer to your to your question. So
scheduling a call, which sometimes takes a couple of weeks because of how busy we are, but
sure, sometimes it does. And it was funny, speaking of which, we're both tied up in newer ministries with church plants, and so it was pretty interesting. My Sunday goes from one church to right now one church to very well established church to a new church plant, but
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I was doing that from about Easter of last year until mid-January. Well, actually into February. Was kind of serving it in 2 places. So double dipping, if you will.
Yeah, I can honestly say that I'm not a fan.
Not easy. No.
It really isn't. I'll tell you, it's kind of weird. The last 2 Sundays from my original church and the church that I've been at for 15 years. The last 2 Sundays I took off, we had our first open Sunday for the church plant, which it's amazing. We've maintained right around 50, 60 people. Today we actually had someone get saved that was visiting, which was pretty awesome.
Amen. That's great.
And so, it's kind of funny because I'm in charge of the team. I'm in charge of safety, but I'm also in charge of the team that sets up and tears down. And every weekend, we meet in the conference room of a library, and we have 3 conference rooms back to back, brand new, gorgeous facilities, state of the art. And so I'm responsible for setup and tear down of, we have banners for the church. We've got, we have to move chairs around. We've got all of the tech stuff set up and that sort of thing. And it's just funny to me because, every week we're like, you know what, we really, you're under pressure, right, to get it set up and get everything done with a short amount of time. And this today, everybody was like, oh, we got to get it down to half an hour. It's got to be half an hour. It's got to be half hour. Well, last week we did it in 25 minutes. And one of my buddies that helps me was like, it's 25 minutes. And I'm like, no, it's really 20 minutes. I'm going to take 20 because we had a few issues. Well, today we actually did it in 15. And so it was just real exciting and real encouraging because, you don't think of something like that as a big win, right? But
Right.
when you're leading people and you got this new team and everybody's trying to work together and you're trying to get cohesive and figure out how to do things the best way, it's very motivating to be able to say, you know, thanks guys, you did a fantastic job. We got this done in 15 minutes. Everybody was, rocking and rolling. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing, and we were actually down a person today. One of our guys got one of our key people got actually called into work, so he had to work today, and so it was just real encouraging for us that it was a fantastic sermon, fantastic service. But I'll tell you, um, I've shifted some of my responsibility. I shifted from safety, and there's not a whole lot. I mean, it's a very, very safe building, right? And we have a security guard outside. There's not. I mean, we always have someone posted outside the doors, outside the kids' areas, and that sort of thing. But what's crazy to me is I was sitting up about halfway up because they had asked me to help move some props for the sermon today.
Yep.
And so I jump in, I grab one of the tables, I'm moving the table, but I'm sitting halfway up with my back to the only entrance to the room. And I'm sitting there and I hear the door open and I kind of just naturally turn my head around to see, who's coming, who's going, is it a new visitor? Maybe I can go greet them, get them settled, etc. But it came back to me in this flashback where I'm just like, I just can't do it. I can't sit with my back to the door and not be interested, concerned, whatever with who's coming in. So
Yep.
I may have to change where I sit in the in the room with my family, but
Just get a swivel chair.
well, the chair, it's kind of funny. The chairs we use are designed for tables, like they have tables and then chairs like a conference room.
Yep.
And what's funny is you sit down and we're still navigating some of that stuff. But it's been good. Um, it's been a fun change and fun interesting addition to my Sundays and trying to figure out how to navigate that. So
Yep. I've been neck deep in working through an org chart, and kind of designing out what that structure would look like from a church experience perspective, and having that kind of roll up, and what's the responsibilities and the roles, what's the breakdown over who's accountable, who makes decision, what does that look like from an advisory perspective, what happens in the case of an emergency. So we're
mhm.
looking at implementing kind of an incident command structure of sorts that should something occur, then it follows that pattern of kind of seniority or the experience being on site. So if it happens to be at a service where the team lead perhaps is not on that Sunday, but it happens, obviously he's going to take lead and take incident command as he steps into it, even if he's not necessarily taking that. So we're kind of mapping out what that looks like, and bought a set of radios from our friend Billy at Two Way Radio Center, and just got those in. So got a 8-pack of Hyteras, and that'll get this church is 4 years old. They're a church plant, here in Central Texas. And so they do not have a safety team officially as of yet. They have that kind of the couple guys that stay alert, and of course, it's Texas, so more are carrying than not carrying, but um, it seems like anyway. But we're working on getting that rolling and getting the team started. So
Yeah, it was interesting to me, like with our plant, we initially we're a very safety conscious church and church plant, and we definitely want a safety team and things to go well, and I think they have. What's interesting to me is, when you step in there, you got to realize, like, thinking in my mind, I've always thought, you know what, we're going to have a safety team, we're going to have people rotating, this is how it's going to look, this is what we're going to do. And the reality is that once we're actually there, which we are, because we're meeting every
yeah,
Sunday afternoon, it just looks different. It's like when you look at the actual structure and how we're doing things, it's great that we have so many people that attend that put safety as a priority. But the planning is just different than in your mind. I mean, and again, I'm coming from a 30-person team to now, you know, do we need a team? Yes, we always have someone that can respond, but at the same time, it just looks different. Um, but we This evening we were actually going to have Gary Quisenberry on, um, and I think he's having technical difficulties. And we're going to talk about awareness and his new book that's coming out, and I think we will try and circle back around and catch up with him another time. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the Church Security Essentials Conference that's coming up, and we actually did one of these in October in Columbus, Ohio. We had great results, and one of our key goals is to offer a conference, or to try and do a conference that will benefit churches in a large populated area, but also to go above and beyond with the conference, to do it from an aspect of church ministry with ministry as the focus. Um, there are a few other folks out there coast to coast that do conferences, and everyone kind of does them with a little bit different flavor. Um, but our focus really has been, we want to make church safety fun, and we want to make it relaxing for those that attend. So really, it's incorporating several components. The learning, we want to make sure that if somebody attends an event, that they learn something new, are able to train, hone a skill a little bit, but then also that they can kind of take a break and come away and be refreshed, and just be thanked a little, right? So they can
yeah,
be appreciated a little bit more. And we're very blessed to have a few solid partners and organizations that have gone, above and beyond to see that vision with us and kind of help cover the cost, because it is an expensive thing to get, 6 or 7 people in one location. Um, but
yeah. Especially when it's not in one of our backyards. So
Sure.
it's different when we could do it in Columbus, and it was not as many flying all over the place. But you're right. I mean, the style of conference that we're trying to put together is something that gives that space for folks to kind of consume and retain, and gives that space for them to kind of take those notes, to understand, to even submit questions. And we do a panel discussion and with our speakers. That's one of the key focus things. But we find that there's times where you go to a conference, you're out of your normal environment, you're away from family and kids, you're living out of a suitcase a lot of times when you travel to a conference, and then you show up, you're rushed, you amp up on caffeine and fast food and other sorts of things that may not be part of your normal routine. And then you're rushing through all sorts of stuff, not necessarily good protein, not necessarily all the other things, and you're just crammed full of a fire hose all day. And
Sure.
you know what? It's not that there's not great topics. It's that sometimes it's just too much too fast. And I think we've tried to find, how do we understand, okay, the human brain absorbs a certain way and they need a certain level of breaks. And so could we cram more in? Yes, absolutely. But I think there's a value behind finding the key, the most important topics that we can cover, and
Sure.
what we call essentials. And these are your essentials that you really have. So if we go with the essentials, that's kind of how the name kind of came about, and you get some solid topics in a 1 day setting, not a multi-day, not a half day, and you get that chance to network with people, to ask questions, kind of birds of a feather, if you will. They flock together, and you can ask those questions, whether it's the panel or other folks sitting next to you or at a table. And I think all those things are just, it's conducive to better retention, because at the end
Sure.
of the day, folks are paying to come to a conference. We hope they walk away with multiple gold nuggets, as we like to say on the show, and that they bring something back to their team that they can implement. But
Yeah.
even better, that they're building connections and other folks that they can reach out to, whether it be us or others, that when they do have that challenge in the trenches, they have other folks they can talk to. And not just necessarily, hey, this guy down the street who lives in that church, or a small little network that you might have there, but to truly build out and say, hey, what are you seeing there? Has maybe it's different in a different area or a different type of church. So,
For sure. And we look at all locations and all we take all considerations into mind when we look at the dates, and we look at the location, times, and the last one we did in Columbus because that's where I'm based out of, and my home church was gracious enough to allow us the facility to use that. This time we were approached by a gentleman that we've had on the show that's become
a
a
couple
great
times.
friend a
Yep.
couple times, yeah. An author, church safety and security expert, Jason White. Um, Jason wrote the book Church Security and Outreach: A Spirit-Led Strategy to Pursue the One and Protect the 99. And he reached out, I think it was around Christmas time, and said, "Hey, when you guys do the next conference, what do you think about doing it in Orlando? There's hundreds and thousands of churches, and it's a highly populated area." And so his church was actually gracious enough, and it's funny because we've actually had, um, besides Jason and his wife, who are very active in serving the missionary community and churches and church safety in Florida, um, Central Florida. We've also had Dwayne Harris. Dwayne um, is a bishop and also a police officer in Florida, and he has Full Armor Church. I've actually gone and talked to him a couple of times. He's also a really great friend that supported, the Church Safety Guys ministry. And then we also have Ron Aguiar, and Ron, again, he's been on the show before. He wrote the book Keeping Your Church Safe. It was one of the first books that came out for church safety, and a phenomenal resource. If you haven't picked up a copy, it's actually sold, I believe, through the USCCA organization. But definitely Google that and pick up a copy, because it's very much written in an encyclopedia type style, where you can go through and look up a specific topic, and Ron is just phenomenal when it comes to his knowledge bank. And he went from being an officer to being a safety director of one of the largest churches in the United States for, I think it was 15 years. Um,
It might even
and
be more
so,
than that, if I
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
but it was in Louisville, Kentucky, and he just recently relocated to Florida. And so and he's been on like I said, he's been on the show a few times. And so we've got all of these folks that are in Florida. And so we just kind of looked at it and said, pretty much the only people that aren't in Florida are Mike and I. But
Yep. Well, which of course, obviously, we'll be speaking as well, and James and I will kind of be. We have kind of two keynote messages, if you will. So James and I will tag team the one of the keynotes, and we'll talk through servant leadership as well as the ministry life cycle and how to use that to help streamline and as a framework to operate your team effectively, to kind of go through that on an ongoing basis. It's not just all about tactics and response. It's sometimes operating your ministry and leadership and having a good solid structure on which to then build and train on top of. That's an important part of it. So James and I will kind of cover that. It's continuing to kind of evolve. We've put out the of course the original Inspire, Influence, Impact. We've put out a servant leadership book, which is the kind of the foundational piece. Thank you, James. It's buried behind me. Kind of
shameless
right
plug.
there.
Yeah, yep.
To kind of point that out. But we also have a whole series of the others right here that we've kind of put out across, which the servant leadership, it's your foundation, the vision, as well as engage. And we are feverishly working between preparing for a conference on the next one that we will be coming out, which will be Equip. And all about equipping your team correctly, and not just by equipment, but what that means. So that'll be a big part of the keynote. But James, why don't you tee up our featured keynote speaker as well?
Sure. So one of the side things that we try really hard is that keeping a ministry first focus. One of the things that is really hard sometimes is connecting with pastors and leaders. And so one of our biggest things with this conference is we want to put as much material, as much content in there that would benefit any ministry in the church as along with safety and security as possible. So if we can figure out a way to talk about a topic maybe that doesn't get talked about a lot, and we can bring in leaders and look at how to be influential in the community and safe, then that's what we'll do.
And it's a wide range because we get a wide range of attendees. I mean, we've
Sure.
had
Yeah, we
executive
do.
pastors, we've had pastors that kind of own their safety team or would own their safety team,
Right.
folks that were looking to start one in their church, leaders of safety teams existing, team members that are coming along in order to soak up additional knowledge and information. We've had children's ministry leaders come. So, I
Yep.
mean, it's kind of our
It's
friend
really
Dan.
open.
Yeah.
It's open to any ministry in the church, but because there's such a wide range of folks that come, we want to try and have components that would help and bless every person wherever their journey is. So realistically, and as we share best practices, as we share specific topics, etc., whether you just started your team or you're trying to start a team, or maybe your team's been going on for years and years and years, there's you'll find some gold nugget and some content that will help you and energize you and help your team.
There's
And
foundational best practices. I think that's the
sure.
big piece is we try to pull out those gold nuggets and topics that obviously maybe you've heard about that topic from 2-3 speakers, or you've seen videos, or you've watched other or gone to other conferences. The difference is that we're continuing to train. We're always training, and it's always good to even hear the same topics kind of presented slightly differently, because
Sure.
you may pick up something that you didn't hear last time. And frankly, we're always changing ourselves. So hearing a topic again, it may be a common topic, it may be a topic we've shared on the show, etc. But you could pick up more, and it's always
Right.
about top of mind, recent, keeping that fresh, so that when you are exposed to that in a church setting, you've built up a toolkit, a mental toolkit of best practices. All right, this is what I can apply in order to put this into place in my church.
For sure. So for the keynote, one of the keynote speakers, and I think we've mentioned him before. I haven't met him yet. I'm really looking forward to meeting him. But Dave Boone Benton is one of our guest keynotes, and Dave is just an amazing guy and very active with churches, etc. in Florida. Um, but he's has over 24 years of experience serving in specialized teams, leadership roles in the military, law enforcement, protective security, and intelligence community. He's had a whole lot of different positions. Some we can't even mention here on the
Well,
on the broadcast,
the three-letter agency.
but amazing amount of experience. He's probably forgotten more than I will ever know. But he is been a great guy and very willing to come join us because he really supports what we're doing. And essentially, Boone was actually part of the security team that responded to Benghazi in September 11th, 2012, for the terrorist attack with the U.S. Special Mission. So he was actually one of, I believe it was 6 individuals that responded when we had the U.S. Embassy come under fire in 2012. So,
And there
if
was 2
you
buildings. I mean, they had
correct,
their annex was attacked as well as essentially the embassy, and
correct,
they ended up being a security force in country at the time because there was not a solid enough force there to protect that embassy. They ended up having to protect as many as they could, with also taking on a lot of casualties. So a very, very tough situation. And I mean, if you've seen a good depiction of it, and we could probably find out from Dave how good it actually is of a depiction. But 13 Hours is the movie. I know it's all over Amazon Prime and things like that.
sure.
I think it's a well done movie. As to the accuracy, factually, not quite sure, but it was certainly.
Well,
You never know.
he basically Dave spent 13 hours and fighting terrorists until other U.S. forces and other ally forces came in and were able to secure that location, and he was able to save 20 basically 20 lives through that with him and his other guys. And he's back in the States, and he does a lot of firearm training and different things in Florida, and he has his own training organization. He started shootingclasses.com, which is a really well-known website for training and that sort of thing. But he's going to be talking about situational awareness, having a warrior mindset, and really just kind of bringing that to light. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to the conference because of everyone that we know that's there and is speaking. But I'm really looking forward to getting to meet him because to me, he is a true American hero. And I asked Jason White, who is actually friends with him, and I said, "Would you mind if I like brought a book for him to sign? Like, would he sign a book for me?" And Jason just laughed at me, and he's like, "Yeah, he's not that like he's a pretty shy guy. You'll see." So
Yeah.
he doesn't like a lot of glamour. He did what he did because he feels that it was the right thing to do, and he doesn't like a lot of publicity. But still, I'm honored that we have someone of his caliber actually coming and being a keynote, because I'm just really looking forward to it. And like I said, as a true American hero, I love the fact that he is willing to come talk to churches and um, help whoever he can, however he can. So it
Yep.
really demonstrates a servant's heart for sure.
I'm thinking, why don't we go to a short break and we can come back and talk about our some of the sponsors that we have.
Sure, we can do that. So we will take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, and we will be right back with you.
With over 50 years of experience with religious and nonprofit organizations, Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates understands that your congregation is different from a traditional business. We're here to fulfill your needs, coming to you while creating a personal plan for your budget and size. From your local community to around the globe, we are advocates for you. Thomas Alexander Insurance and Associates, your partner in service.
When you let Checker take care of background checks, you get more time to focus on your ministry. Over 8,000 churches and faith-based communities across the United States use Checker. Checker lets you quickly and easily screen new volunteers, so you'll spend less time on paperwork and administrative tasks. Our fast, accurate background checks reduce turnaround time per applicant by 72% on average. Checker partners with church management systems, including Tithely, Planning Center, Rock RMS, PushPay, and Full Method, so it's easy to integrate into systems you're already using. Trust Checker for faster, easier, more reliable background checks, so you can focus on what brings you all together. To learn more, visit www.checkr.com/church.
We all deal with stress on a daily basis. When not properly managed, we can face burnout, mental, physical, and spiritual burnout. It can be detrimental to serving in church safety and security, as well as other ministries, and affect all areas of life. Coming Back brings biblical guidance for such a dilemma. In the book Coming Back, best-selling author James McGarvey takes a biblical-based approach to address and prevent ministry burnout. As you read Coming Back, you will easily relate to James's shared experiences, be inspired by Scripture, and grow through the practical and applicable instruction found in this much-needed book. This encouraging read will affect you and your team in a positive way to continue the path of ministry with an energized and encouraged spirit. Through biblical and practical knowledge and experience, James shows that it is all about coming back to focus on what matters, coming back to the cross.
The Church Safety Guys help church and place of worship safety and security teams all over North America through our broadcasts, online communities, conferences, trainings, resources, and the all-new Church Security app. Download it today. Help us continue to reach churches by supporting our sponsors, purchasing our resources, and consider becoming a ministry partner by making a monthly or one-time donation. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this broadcast with your team. And now, back to the broadcast.
All right, welcome back to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys. I'm James, and I am joined on this broadcast with my co-host Mike Scully, and we're talking about the Church Security Essentials Conference, and you can certainly look up more information on that conference at churchsafetyconference.com, and just type that in, or you can visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com and get some more information on the topics, speakers specifically, and purchase tickets, and bring your church. We'd love to see you, love to meet you. We've already had quite a few folks reach out and say, you know, they were going to come and wanted to hang out with us. And one of the things we do too is that with the ideology of the Church Security Essentials Conference that actually Mike and we didn't mention earlier, was that when we build in time to the conference, we always like to build in a lot of breaks. And Mike kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, but the reason for that is because we want to meet you. We want to hang out with you guys. It's not, and gals, it's not, we don't want to just lecture. We don't want to have people just lecture, but we want to give you the opportunity to actually talk with the folks that are presenting, and just see them as a future resource, and build a relationship and network. And the wealth of church security information that will be at this conference is just insane. Like,
Yeah. I mean, combined speakers, I think it's well over 100 years worth of
for sure.
church security expertise. So it's crazy.
And that's really cool, because again, all of those people are doing the conference because they support our ministry and the Church Safety Guys ministry. And so it's amazing to me that they all have a heart for ministry as well, and they are all just as eager and excited to have the opportunity to talk to you and share best practices and discuss things one-on-one. So the atmosphere of the October conference was very much like that. It was very relaxed.
Yep.
We had plenty of time to talk about different things and meet people. And to me, that's what I loved the most about it, was the ability to just meet folks that listen to the broadcast, and some make some new friends. Some had never heard of us, and they showed
They're
up
brought along.
because,
Yeah.
because they were supposed to, or they were told to, but
Well,
they
that's
left with a
interesting.
smile on their face.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of surprised me, because I was like, okay, you figure most people who came to the conference probably watch the show on a regular basis, and that's why they bought tickets and showed up. But I mean, there was a good contingent of folks there that hadn't watched the show, or had some that had seen it once or maybe twice because they're on their team, but they don't necessarily catch it all the time, but their leader does, and
Sure.
a pastor that came in, and a couple folks there. I mean, they were pleasantly surprised, and I think it was great getting to meet folks and just have those conversations. And I'd say it was great right up until it got weird. And I'd say when it got weird was having somebody bring a book up to me and go, "Hey, will you sign this?" And I'm like, sure. It's just, I mean, not that I don't mind doing it. I'm not to make it sound that way, but it just was very weird to be in a situation to be asked for an autograph on a book. So it was funny.
It's one of my close friends is a retired police officer from Central Ohio, and he's an attorney, and he's starting a law practice. He just retired from 35 years of law enforcement. Wow. And I had put together, I think it was my first book. I think it was the case, or one of them, but I think it was the case for church safety and security that I when I had first gotten a copy published, I went and took it to him, because a lot of times he has different churches reach out to him and say, hey, do you have any resources for church safety? And so I wanted to share this book with him, and he's like, oh, wow, that's awesome, man. I'm so thrilled. And he goes to hand it back, and I said, no, that's for you. That's your copy. So he takes the book and he flips it open. Right. And he's like, there's no signature in here. And it took me a minute to get what he was saying. And he's like, he hands it back to me. And of course he pulls a pen out and he hands it, and he's like, well, sign it. You gotta sign it for me, because
right?
I want the first author copy. And I'm just laughing at him. I'm like, I don't need to sign your book for you. And he's like, yeah, you do, or I'm not taking it. So, but yeah, it is cool to meet new people, and certainly we had that opportunity in October, and we're definitely looking forward to that in May. May 14th is actually the date. So three other people, sorry, that we're going to have sharing at the conference. I mentioned Dwayne Harris earlier. Dwayne's been on the broadcast. He's going to talk about safety team operations, and he has quite a few resources that he's put together for safety teams, and he travels around the U.S. and helps start teams and trains them and that sort of thing. So he's going to cover some of the operational components. I mentioned earlier Ron Aguiar. he is with Oasis Safety. He's done the same thing for over, I think it's over 40 years, has helped churches. And he is actually going to be there. He's going to be talking about handling disruptions and de-escalation and that sort of thing. And then one of our newer friends, Jeff Dalrymple, sorry. And Jeff is actually the executive director of an organization that we call ECAP, which is the Evangelical Council for Abuse Prevention. And it's a nonprofit organization, but what they do is they focus on Christian and church ministries in child protection and abuse prevention. And they do much of what we do for church safety and security, specifically for child protection and abuse prevention. And just happened to actually meet Jeff. It was kind of a random encounter, but they are very, very connected with some major ministries across the world. And Jeff will actually be joining us, and he'll be talking about preventing child abuse in the church and also building a culture that is child secure, and basically providing resources to attending churches that can strengthen the church so that your children's ministry doesn't have any abuse suspicions, or that your children's ministry is protected and safe. So I'm also really looking forward to that. And Jeff invited me down to a conference that he's doing, a luncheon he's doing in Kentucky in a couple of weeks. And I will probably try and go to that so I can meet him before the conference, because I really like what he's doing. And I like the fact that they are very much focused on preventing children from being harmed in churches around the world. So
And I think there's a tremendous opportunity. We're continue that conversation. I think not just have them at the conference and on the show and things like that, but I think there's ways where both our organizations certainly are have potential to be very tied in and very much aligned. And we're continuing that conversation with Jeff, and more to follow there. But that's certainly a big one. Then we have a couple of great sponsors out there. U.S. Law Shield is sponsoring this one again. Thank you. They were there in October in Columbus. They will be coming to Orlando with us as well. Big new sponsor this time is Vertx. And you could talk a little bit more about them, James.
Sure. So Vertx is an organization that's made uniforms and had their hand in making uniforms and apparel and clothing for military and law enforcement since the Civil War. They've been around for a long time. But it was really cool. They jumped in, and we're very blessed to have them as a sponsor. And one of the things that I really like about them is that they provide high quality gear that's priced very competitively with other brands similar, such as, 511, or there's a few other brands out there. But the thing I like the most about Vertx is that they actually provide that gear, clothing, etc., and it doesn't look tactical. So the type of gear that they offer, whether it's pants or shirts or backpacks or whatnot, it's very much tailored to a Sunday morning. So you can have your 14 pockets and and wear some great gear and have all the equipment you need without looking like you're wearing your shoot me first pants, or you're a tactical operator helping your church safety team. So I was really excited to talk to them, and they were really excited to help us out. And I think you'll be hearing and seeing more from them, down the road.
Then, of course, we have Billy and Two Way Radio Center will be coming out with Motorola, and he'll be there and talking about communications. And obviously, that's where I got the set of radios I talked about at the beginning of the show, and we've been able to work with a lot of folks with that to get get some of that out there. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. It's a little bit closer, I think, for him than hopefully than Columbus was, but it'll be fun. Billy's a great guy. He loves working with churches, and he's last time he was able to bring some different radios and show people how things work and offer recommendations and have quite a display. And Motorola came with him and they brought their body camera setup and system. And so, um, they were happy and very, very blessed that they're a big sponsor again this time. And they really support what we do here at the Church Safety Guys. So
it's big. And we have a bunch of tables that will be set up to vendors and sponsors that'll be there at the show. And they've helped us put this conference together with financially by sponsoring a table. So have a bunch of folks that you can kind of check out their stuff for those that attend. And I think lastly, as we wrap up here, is we're in early bird tickets right now between now and the end of the month. So you have 11 days left for early bird. And we have a special this year. We didn't really talk about pricing. We did try to look at putting as much value as we could into the day, looking at having those sponsors help underwrite some of that cost to help keep the individual ticket price down. I know there's some vendors out there that kind of do some road shows and they're upwards of almost $100 for the day. And
sure.
we know that can be steep, especially for many of the smaller churches out there that have the 1-2 person crew or that are trying to get started. So we were able to get the price down to $59. And I'm very happy for and appreciative of the sponsors that helped us do that for this. But if you purchase before the 31st of March, we do have special, you'll get, what did we say, five entries? 4. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yep.
You get 4 entries to win towards one of the big door prize. And James, if you want to cover who sponsored that this year.
Sure. So our we had the honor of getting a donation pretty significant from Crossbreed Holsters, and they sent us a gift certificate to give away to their company. Fantastic company out of Springfield, Missouri. Very, very solid holster and belt options for concealed carry folks. But basically this drawing is for a holster, magazine holder, and belt kit combo from them. And it has a value of over $200. Yeah. So that's pretty significant. But yeah, if you purchase a ticket between now and March 31st, that will actually give you 4 entries to win that. And we're going to give that away to somebody that's there, that you have to be present to win. And, what we do, one of the things that we like to do, and we're grateful for the sponsors to make it happen, is if you attended the October conference, how much stuff did we give away, Mike?
Oh my gosh, it was, I mean, I felt like literally between every session, something was being given away, and sometimes more than one. And it was kind of funny because I felt like I was walking through the audience continually giving out things because it was. And so that was great.
We gave away a trauma kit. Actually, we gave away like 3 trauma kits. We gave away a pretty decent sized trauma bag for a church. We had just
numerous books.
Yeah. I mean, and we've had the same thing this year. We've had a lot of folks donate resources and materials that way. So, I think just about everyone won something. But we had, we had flashlights, tactical knives, body cameras,
tactical pens. The flares, emergency flare pucks
LED
for kind
flares.
Of magnetic. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff, and of course we gave away a ton of Jason White's book, and we also gave away quite a few devotionals and resources ourselves. So, and we'll be doing the same thing this year. We're actually going to pick 2 or 3 churches to win an entire devotional set from us. So if you if you purchase a ticket, and we'll wait on that after March, after the crossbreed drawing, but stay tuned, because we will be doing other chances to win other prizes for the conference and resources. So it was a lot of fun. It was great to give stuff away, and definitely made the value for the ticket price. So
Yeah. No, it's shaping up to be even bigger and better than the one in October, and kind of blew our mind, the blessings and so forth there. And I think one of the greatest things walking away was one of the pieces of feedback we collected from a survey coming out of that conference was an attendee that we couldn't have written it better ourselves, but kind of it's morphed into almost a catchy slogan, because they basically branded us as putting the church in church security. And we do try to put that ministry mindset first and foremost, ministry first, that leadership, that professionalism into this, that it's not just about tactics, it's not just about high-speed training and guns, that it is literally about operating a ministry, having good leadership, being engaged in discipling your team, training well, and then operating with professionalism, so that you're setting an example for other teams in your church, but also networking and outreach with those teams, both in your church and hopefully across your communities as well. So really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a big event.
Yeah, I am as well. So wrapping up at this time, this broadcast, just to give you a heads up and let you know, we are actually doing a conference. I'll be up in Grand Rapids this week. That will be March 31st from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the New Hope Baptist Church in Grand Rapids. And you can find out more information about that. It's about a 3/4 day conference seminar that is actually on our website at churchsafetyguys.com. That's a free conference, but you have to be registered to attend. And that is hosted by the Grand Rapids Police Department. The Church Safety Guys, our good friend and buddy, John Riley, with General Response, is going to be there. He and I are actually going to be talking about church safety and security, and then de-escalation and that sort of thing. And then we'll have Absolute Security there from Michigan, and they will be talking about training and that sort of thing for church safety teams. So definitely something, if you're in the Grand Rapids area, you don't want to miss it. It's a great opportunity, and the Grand Rapids Police Department has been gracious enough to cover the expense of that. So like I said, it is a free conference, and you can find out more information and register for that at our website. Just click the link on top where it says training and then conferences and events, and that'll get you there. And we've continued to post a few other conferences, and as we find out about them and different events and stuff like that, we post it on that website. So check back often. And I think you'll find some great resources and great things coming up from that. So,
and we don't have a date for it yet, but we're talking about 2023 will be in the Texas area, so probably the Austin area, which is my backyard. if we don't die from putting on this one, it's a lot of work to put together a conference, but
well, it's funny because normally our normal sake of time or energy, we would be working on materials right now at this time of the year. And so we moved the conference to May. Next one, I think we may go back to October.
Well, it'll be nicer down here already.
Well, I was going to say, if we do it in Texas, it's definitely going to be nicer in October than probably May or June.
And it'll have come down from the 100 days of 100 degrees too. So
for sure,
that'll be good.
So anyhow, but yeah, if you have any questions about that, those events or those conferences, feel free to reach out to us. If you're a church in the Orlando area, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about the conference, or if you're a vendor, and you'd like to, we still have some table sponsorships
Few
available.
spots, yep.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in coming to that, we'd love to talk to you about that. Other than that, I think next week we're going to talk about de-escalation, and we should have John Riley joining us again. And we haven't had him on in quite a bit, so we'll be chatting with him about de-escalation and really kind of ramping up for the Easter holiday and coming into Easter. And then the next two broadcasts will actually be talking about preparing your team for Easter from a practical standpoint, and then also from a spiritual standpoint. So we will have a couple other guests on with us at that time, and definitely something you don't want to miss. So, but if we can ever be of assistance or help to you or your team, please feel free to reach out. You can do so through our website at churchsafetyguys.com or the Church Security app. And we'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to do what we can to help you and your ministry be successful. So until next time, I will say have a pleasant week, and we will talk to you real soon. Take care. God bless. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys, sponsored by Checker. We hope that you found it informative, and we appreciate your feedback. Be sure to share our broadcast with your teams. Join the discussion online, and for other great resources, download the Church Security app or visit our website at churchsafetyguys.com. Remember, keep a servant's heart, a mindset of ministry, and Semper Disciplina. Always be training. Have a blessed week.